Welcome to Mikey Makes Eats, where you have decided to celebrate your accomplishments, and thus wish to make a fantastically fattening pie. While you can't remember what justified such thigh-thickening delights, you have decided to succulently splurge and combine ham and cheddar into pie form. You go to task on the first item in your mise en place by dicing 1.5 cups of ham into 6mm cubes. Then separating 2 russet variety spuds into 3mm cubes, rinsing excess surface starchy residue off the carbohydrate cubes, and soaking in a 1% saltwater brine for 2 hours. You prefer your potatoes to be precisely seasoned to pleasant perfection, and believe this will be better than sprinkling sodium stones on after frying. You then slice 3 onions into 6mm thick slices, to which the onions bring you to tears for. You're not taking that kind of aggression from a group of vengeful aromatic veggies. You demand satisfaction, and so you send those spiteful slices to a saute pan for 60 minutes on low heat to turn those thugs from sinister to sweet. Upon becoming beautifully brown, you believe they've learned their lesson from their time in the pan, and you remove them from the heat. After setting aside your onions, you wipe out your pan like the super efficient cook that you are, and set the pan over medium hotness for heating ham bits. After effectively involving your ham in the cooking process, you turn your attention to tubers. Furious frying is not forthwith, and you decide your potatoes need to fry twice to be nice. You fill a large pot, half full of oil, and begin the temperature-raising procedure. You place your best heat-measuring thermometer into the oil pot you got, turn the heat to high until 275 Fahrenheit is achieved. You feared that your raw spuds would be soft like mud if not oil-blanched. It's quite true that not all rinds are made equal, but you fry your potatoes for 10 minutes and then place them in a food container and firm them in the freezer for 4 hours. You now have some components for a pie, but how does one even crust a pie of this caliber? Crust will never be used as a verb again, and you proceed to add 175 grams of plain breadcrumbs, 80 grams of all-purpose flour, and 4 grams of salt to a mixing bowl, and you mix thoroughly. You add 60 grams of unsalted butter, to which you decide to decimate with your digits until your mixture reminds you of a wet, sandy, beachy thing, which you conservatively combine with cold water. This edible sand you now pack into your tart pan. You pat this down, nice and flat, into each nook and or cranny, and chill to assure structural integrity is maintained. Once your spuds are frozen thoroughly enough to sing Let It Go, you ironically crank your oil to a frightening temperature of 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you toss your potatoes in, frying until gorgeously golden. You have now almost completed the heart-clocking checklist of a gourmet glutton's pie, and now must choose where cheddar will triumph within this creation. Deep in thought, your tone becomes serious. 250 grams of cheddar is grated into a large mixing bowl. Then 16 grams of flour is added. The flour is evenly mixed with the grated cheese. 3 large eggs are added, followed by 2 teaspoons of hot mustard and 250 milliliters of 18% cream. This is all the components, and you can't keep complying completely with the crushingly serious cam. Your mighty mashing means nothing to this mushy mixture. Total smoothness seems hopeless, until Captain Stick Blender saves the day. With his superhuman appliance powers, he blends your concoction into a smooth, cheddary base. You now have completed your ham and cheddar pie checklist for fattening pie making, and you choose to chuck your cheese-filling base and crust onto the counter. You start your assembly process by placing onions down, giving a pleasantly sweet layer. Next, you mix your potatoes and ham into your base to assure savory tastes. Now that the filling is in place, you set it into your case, crust evenly. And so begins your final step. Bake. You place your picturesque pie into a preheated 350 Fahrenheit oven for 25 minutes, followed by 3 minutes under the broiler. You take the pie out for one last challenge, waiting 15 minutes for it to cool to a temperature not prone to cooking the roof of your mouth. Waiting felt like a week. Now your pie is ready. You grab the pie server, cut a slice, glad it's not spaghetti. The filling is thick, but on the surface it looks nicely browned and tasty. You're so down to mow down without regretting the caloric intake in which you will partake. You take a bite of this guilty treat. Be glad you made these eats.